You can hear me biting bread. This is my second breakfast. So this will be an interview with breakfast. Okay, so you just came at the right time.
Sono lieto di poter rievocare in poche parole le esperienze delle prime trasmissioni radiotelegrafiche a grandi distanze da me felicemente eseguite attraverso l'Oceano Atlantico il 12 dicembre 1901.
Holy snapping bra straps. It's a podcast.
Republic of Avalon Radio. It's 0 hours, Avalon Standard Time.
From Talladega, Alabama.
Hey, Jim. It's Sarah calling from Portland.
This is Mike Busboom from Vienna, Austria.
Hi, this is Nancy from Victoria, BC.
Hello, this is Vic in Philadelphia.
Hello, I'm Rex Goudie from Berlington, Newfoundland, the other side of the overpass. You're listening to Republic of Avalon Radio, right here in St. John's. Yee!
Republic of Avalon Radio. You're with the roar!
Republic of Avalon Radio. You're with the Roar. I'm Jim Fiddler. Welcome aboard for episode 47. Wow, number 50 is getting very, very close, folks. So I think episode 50 will probably end up being our Christmas episode. So we'll have a kind of a double-barreled special 50th episode for Christmas, which would be very, very nice. And you guys can feel free to send us in shout-outs, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa shout-outs over the next period of time between now and, let's say, by at least the 20th or so, which would give me some time to deal with the files and get them into the show. But if you'd like to send out season's greetings to a particular individual or all your fellow Roar listeners or just all the people all over the world, just send us an MP3, record a little MP3, a little greeting, and attach it to an email. Send it to republicofavallonradio@gmail.com. You can also call us on the Roar line at country code 1, area code 724-426-8176. Or on our famous boat line, country code 1, area code 206-203-BOAT. Well, guess who has gone out and bought himself a new guitar amplifier? Yes, that would be me. For those of you who are at all familiar with such things, I just picked myself up a Fender Deluxe 90 DSP, and I could not be a happier boy. What a beautiful sounding amplifier. The guitar sounds on this album are going to be extraordinary, so that was the whole idea. Of course, regular listeners would know that I'm just gearing up to start recording a new record. And you new listeners might not have any idea about that. So let me now call you amongst the informed crew as well, and welcome you aboard. If this is your first time listening to Republic of Avalon Radio, a great big welcome aboard. Yes, and aside from the guitar amp, there's more happening than that. A new system on the way tomorrow, a new computer. Woohoo! Yes, I'm breaking down and finally upgrading the system here in the studio, in the control room. And we're going dual core, Conroe. And, gigs of RAM and all these wonderful things. So the system will be current and up to date, and I'm going to be able to do all the things that I need to do to record this upcoming album. So big woohoos on all that, and of course the new mics, all of that will be all squared away as of tomorrow. The last of the new microphones will be here, and I'm also looking at getting the for you folks out there who know anything about sort of musical equipment and all these kinds of things, I will tell you that I'm going to be ordering the Native Instruments B4-2 bundle. That would be the B4-2 as well as the controller with the drawbars and everything. So lots of nice organ sounds, B3 organ sounds to come on this upcoming record. Woohoo! Before I get too carried away here, just want to send out a big shout out and a thank you to one of our prime listeners. I would say he's a platinum listener. Jeff in New York, who went to republicofavalonradio.com and clicked on the PayPal button and dropped something into the tip jar for us. Much appreciated, Jeff. A great big thank you to you. As I've mentioned before, of course, we decided a ways back to try to keep this thing going as long as we could, sponsor free, and not be throwing in, advertising and so on and so forth. And we've been able to do it so far. Of course, nobody's paying us to do this. We don't have any kind of supporters anywhere except for you. So it's always a great feeling for us. Sometimes, you feel like you're a little bit of a voice in the wilderness, and you're putting these shows together and putting them out, and all the feedback, not even just whatever contribution on the website, but just hearing from you guys is absolutely fantastic. It spurs us on and makes us aware that we're not just whistling into the wind, which is fantastic. But as I said, a great big thank you to you, Jeff, and hope you're doing well, and just so much appreciate your contribution. And of course, as I look at the calendar on the wall here, I see Thanksgiving is looming. So let's send a great big happy Thanksgiving out to all our American listeners. Used to be the home of the free, land of the brave, and home of the free, and nothing's free no more, and brevity is waning. Oh well, we can we can have hope for the future, I suppose. Anyway, aside from that, my point is a great big happy Thanksgiving to all our American listeners. Hope you guys have a good one. And do all the normal stuff that you do. Eat turkey and get together with people that sometimes you don't get a chance to see too often. And maybe try to be a bit mindful, maybe even more so than usual on this go-around. And realize that life is short. And whatever time you have to spend with these people, do it soul to soul. Perhaps it's not so important, some of the things that you might not see eye to eye on, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's better to just let love override all that stuff. You know, you don't know when dad's not going to be around anymore, or mom might not be around, or uncle so-and-so, or whatever. So anyway, my point is, have a good one. Well, this week on Republic of Avalon Radio, as we do regularly, we take you out and about and introduce you to various people and so on, people that we know and people that we have encountered and so on in the past. And this episode, we're very, very glad to introduce you to a person who goes by the name of Thaddeus Dreher, which oddly enough it happens to be his real name, so I guess that's why he goes by it. And Thaddeus is the president of the Newfoundland and Labrador Multicultural Council, and has been for quite a long time now. Originally from Poland, born in, I think, 1918 in Poland. And he's been here in Newfoundland for quite a while. Lillian took the Edirol R9 over to his house and sat down, had a great conversation with him. And that will be our feature for you this week. And it's great for us to be able to bring you, like the last episode, Keith Rickman, for example, a very good friend of ours and somebody we have a great deal of respect for. And that respect would certainly be extended as well to Thaddeus. There's a term here in Newfoundland that we use to refer to outsiders, people who come here. We call them CFAs, which stands for come from away. So you would say that person, he's a come from away. But there's another term that I've mentioned here before that I very, very much like. And I like to apply it to those who have earned themselves way, way up out of the status of being CFAs. They've come here, they've made a life for themselves, and they've contributed in the community. And Newfoundland would be a far lesser place without these people. And we refer to these people as NBCs, Newfoundlanders by choice. And the interesting thing about that is I think some Newfoundlanders haven't even actually made that choice. Some people are just Newfoundlanders by birth, not by choice. And many of them don't show the same commitment. Of course, many of them do. All I'm trying to say, I guess, in a nutshell is there are some people here that have come from other places. Just like America. America was built that way as well. And if you go back far enough, you'd also see many people following the horizon toward the west, following a track across through Europe, from the east through Central Europe and into Western Europe and then the British Isles and so on. But we're going way back in history there. Just suffice it to say, there are those here in Newfoundland who might not necessarily be 10th generation Newfoundlanders, but they certainly have earned their stripes, let's put it that way. And Thaddeus Dreher is certainly one of those people that both Lillian and myself have a great deal of respect for, and we're very, very glad to be able to introduce you to him on this episode of Republic of Avalon Radio. So why don't I stop rambling and just let's get on with it. Just want to remind you all that we would love to hear from you, whether it's the Christmas shout-outs or just anything at all. Your feedback, go to republicofavalonradio.com, and all the stuff is over there. The roar line and the boat line and the forum and contact and email and everything. And the main thing is, thanks for listening. Thanks for staying subscribed for our regular listeners. A great big welcome aboard to our new listeners. And enjoy. That's the most important thing. That you are enjoying what we're doing. Because we certainly are. So, with no further ado, let's turn things over to Lillian. And I'll get on out of here. You're listening to Republic of Avalon Radio.
Republic of Avalon Radio.
Either you're with us or you're with the terrorists.
You're with the roar!
Okay, hello. Here we are today at the residence of Thaddeus Dreher, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Dreher.
And Suri Dreher,
Let's
who's
not
over there.
forget that, my wife is just is much more important in this house than myself.
I completely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here at your home, and you were telling me just a little bit about it, that it's a very historic house.
Oh, yes. Historic because, well, it was built by Lord Morris, who was a Prime Minister of Newfoundland when Newfoundland was a dominion, not a colony.
Mm.
Newfoundland became a dominion earlier, before Canada.
Mm-hmm.
You know that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know the year when Newfoundland became dominion?
No, I don't.
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I think it was in something like 1850s.
Uh-huh.
So that means at least something like 15 years before Canada became dominion.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
that is the history, definitely.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's the story of this part of the world. And it's a very interesting part. Okay, we were just only yesterday in Placentia, so there were some comments made about Iberville that make some bad things across the island, particularly Avalon Peninsula. He burned everything around. You follow me? He was a very aggressive governor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Iberville. So that's the stuff. Before the British conquered and defeated the French, the great defeat of the French was in Quebec on the plains of Abraham in 1759. That's the year. Shortly after that, well, the Louisbourg collapsed, you follow me, and also Placentia and other things, you see. So 1 year later, everything was British. No, well, as far as colonial situation is concerned, the British became the rulers, you follow me. The French lost the battle. So, okay, the winner is the ruler. After that, you see, that is the reality.
That's what happened.
But we are not going to spend here an hour talking about facts of history. People, they know this. They perhaps would like to know something different.
Well, I've known you for a while now, and you've told me some stories over the years that I've remembered, and I think that the listeners
Not only
would find...
that you remember, but you enjoyed them.
I very much enjoyed, yeah.
Right.
And I just want to mention, first of all, that you're currently the president of the Newfoundland and Labrador Multicultural Council.
Only currently and for the last 20 years.
For the last 20 years,
yeah. That's the fact.
And I wanted to go into that, but I was thinking first I'd like to talk a little bit about where you came from in Poland and your story from then.
Oh, well, I was born when Poland was not on the map of Europe. As you know from the history that you learned at high school or other from your interest in history, that Poland at the end of the 18th century was partitioned by three powers in Europe at that time. Russia, under the great Catherine, the great Empress. Prussia, under the Kaiser Friedrich, and Austrian-Hungarian Empire during the Habsburg times, which is another imperial family, the Habsburgs of Austria. The first partition was in 1772, and that part of Poland where I was born became Poland under Prussian occupation, and the Germans were very, at that time, Prussians, they were very diligent in putting the Prussian system into that part of Poland, which is the northern part of Poland. That's where I was born. So Poland was erased from the map of Europe for about almost 140 years. You see, there was no Poland. However, the Polish people, patriotic as they are, they have been over the centuries, maintain the language, okay, the literatures. So to the that I think it was in 1910 when a Polish writer and author received the Nobel Prize for Literature. His name is Henryk Sienkiewicz. Okay, he wrote a lot. And he got the Nobel Prize for a book. In Latin, the title of the book was Quo Vadis. Mm-hmm. You heard that book?
Yes.
Okay, that is the book.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting, but that's history. So it's kind of too dull to go to the chapters of history and pages of history all the time. But you asked me a few questions that I was born. Yes, I was born on a farm in the village, on a big farm. Okay, I saw the farm later, my wife, when we were visiting the port. Naturally, there were some modifications, you see, over the years, you follow me. Over 80 years, that farm was a little bit more modernized, you follow me. The farm of 100 years back had a slightly different characteristics because there were no tractors, no engines. There were really horses and horsepowers, you follow me, the real ones, you follow me, and cows, and cows are today too. There's no change since the times of, ancient times. The cows were there, and the milks and the sheep and the goats were there, and the goats are today. You see, that's not much change. They also are giving, but only the product went through different, the milk was changing into different products, you see, so cheese and other products, you follow me, and even for cosmetics, you follow me, there are many creamy things, you see, that comes from different animals, you follow me. That's the story, but I'm not here to talk about cosmetics. You are better in that territory, okay? I will be making a very bad mistakes, okay, when talking about cosmetics, but certainly a part of the important part of our existence on this planet are cosmetics. The cosmetics not only today, because the cosmetics were during Egyptian times, you see.
Yeah, sure.
During ancient times, there were always of cosmetics, but with different products. Allow me another sip for coffee. You take the advantage when we have a short break here. Okay, have a tea, have a coffee, because otherwise your coffee will be cold And the cold coffee, it's called lura. And that's in Polish, where an expression, how bad is the coffee? Lura. Nobody wants to drink lura.
I'll have to remember that one.
Yes. So life on a farm, as usually, was very exciting because they are associated with the chickens, with the animals, with the pigs, with the sheep, with the dogs, and so on. You follow me? That's an interesting life. And a good life because you have a fresh chickens, fresh eggs, good eggs, you see. You have a fresh, good milk, It's a healthy life on a farm.
Sure.
And there was no pollution, okay? There were no engines running, you see. There was no car on a farm, things. So that's a different lifestyle, naturally, but a healthy lifestyle, okay? So, and I was very lucky to get the education, being the first in the family born, so they got me into, in good schools, you see, and okay, so I was lucky to have something to learn in the classic education and in the engineering school, okay, so that's a little bit of that. Naturally, the war produced a lot of changes in 1939, you see.
So that changed your life, I guess.
Well, first of all, everybody suffered because of that, including myself. During the war, you were not quite sure if you are going to have a piece of bread for breakfast. Sometimes you were wondering, you see, where I'm going to get a breakfast, or how I'm going to have that. So you were thinking, who could be from your friends who could have a little bit better situation in the kitchen. So then you walk around, simply knock on the door. Do you have anything left today? Maybe tomorrow I will have it. You follow me? Right. The sharing was the essential thing for survival. Now, when the war started on the 1st of September 1939, and I think it was Friday, I had a summer job there. After 3 years of engineering, I already had 3 years behind engineering. And naturally, the bombardments early in the morning, they change the situation dramatically.
Just overnight?
Just dramatically. Because there were bombs every day, several times. The raids were the German Luftwaffe, the German Air Force was very aggressive. While the Air Force was aggressive from the air, on the land, the army with tanks, Germans really prepared themselves for the war. Hitler had a plan, and the armaments, the industry of military force, that industry became priority. With the spirit of the Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, in translation is My Fight. So from 1933, when he became the Chancellor of Germany in 1933, in short 6 years, they were the mighty army and Luftwaffe, that nobody in the world had at that time that kind of a force. Not United States, not Great Britain, not France. I'm not talking about Italy. No, nobody. There was the might. So, on the strength of Hitler's army, they moved ahead to conquer Europe and defeat Great Britain, invade Great Britain. And of course, they needed resources. And the resources were in the east of Germany. In Bessarabia, the resources of oil, great big reservoirs of oil, of petrol, okay? And also agrarian resources, big lands in the Ukraine, you follow me, lands for grains. That's a big resource.
For feeding the army.
Feeding the army, feeding the German population, because they would become the rulers, and the rest of the world at that time in Europe would become rather slaves to the Germans, you follow me, and workers for the Germans, and they will be the big rulers. It was a vision, a diabolic vision by Hitler. Terrific. So that's how it happened. So he had a plan of, since Poland was defeated in a so-called blitzkrieg, means very fast lightning. Blitz, just like a lightning, fast, you follow me. So they, in 3 weeks, they occupied Poland, and in 3 weeks came to Warsaw, and I was at the defense of Warsaw at that time, in the trenches, right in Warsaw, at the, not at the border of the city, limits of the city. That's where the trenches were, and I found myself as a volunteer. So facing the German tanks. So this was a real drama. We had to be defeated. No question, we didn't have a chance. Well, some people went to the prisoners of war camps, Others just simply escape. Didn't want to go to any war camps. The same myself, you just try to escape and hide yourself. You are not anymore a soldier. You are simply in civilian clothes, you follow me, you try to exist, you see, and the underground army was formed, and, a kind of a secret movement, you see, against the German, all these things, what happened. And that's when France collapsed, you see, Holland collapsed, Belgium collapsed, all the, conquest of Germany, and then the great German push against the Great Britain, you follow me, in 1940, there was the big military, especially airplanes, you see, the German Messerschmitts, the German bombers and things like that. You see, there was a battle of Britain at that time, and they could not conquest, they could not win that battle. That turned, a little bit the clock back, a little bit, but not completely. So Hitler had other things to do, and we were just waiting when eventually the Allies are going to be strong enough to liberate the countries occupied by Germany, including France and naturally Poland. We had great hopes, and listening to the clandestine radios, from London BBC, and BBC was producing in different languages, you follow me, including naturally Polish. I didn't have any knowledge, not much of the English language, at that time, because I studied. And the German, of course, was one of the languages that I learned, and French and other things, Latin and Greek, with a classic education, that's different. So English language was for business people. That was the language. I didn't have any sort of intention to go into some business activities. You see, my intention was, to be an engineer and sort of work in that field of engineering, construction fields, you see, something different, not in commercial activities. Well, commercial activities were mainly, not quite, but a lot in Poland in the Jewish hands, you see. They were very good in commercial activities. They were excellent, and, commercial and industrial activities, yes. Poland had a big population of Jews, you follow me, at something almost like 10 and 12% maybe. That's there were about 3 million or 4 million of Jews before the war in Poland, a population of about 30 few millions, you follow me, at that time. So that's the story. So life under German occupation was a miserable one. It's in fact dangerous. But as a young person, you have idealistic, outlook. You think that's the moment that you have to be patriotic. That's the moment, that's a historic moment that you are prepared to be part of that and maybe sacrifice yourself even, because you are going to face dangers. And war is providing plenty of dangerous situations. So I witnessed the liquidation of Jewish ghetto in Warsaw. I went through. In fact, I lived not too far from the ghetto, outside of the Dworzec Gdański, in German Danziger Bahnhof, in Polish Dworzec Gdański. That means the Gdańsk railway station. That's why not too far. And I live very close to the citadel, very close. But that was about maybe half a kilometer from the ghetto, just about. Of course, the ghetto extended. It was a large area of Warsaw, surrounded by a wall, 8-foot wall, high 8-foot wall, just like the Berlin Wall. The ghetto had walls. Ghetto had some gates, you follow me, so there was a movement, transportation, there must be gates, and naturally they have watchmen, the German military, were there at the gates. So much, and the liquidation was a drama, with fire, with bombs, with artillery, with grenades, for quite a few weeks, at least I would say for a month, from as I can recall, because this was the year 1943. And I think it started end of April, you see. No, early in April maybe. I'm not quite sure now about the exact date when it started, the liquidation, but it was a drama that lasted, I think, at least for a month before, or maybe even 6 weeks. So that's okay. So that is the fact. When the Jews were deported in freight cars, railway cars for animals and things like that. So they were deported to different concentration camps. One of the famous concentration camps, or infamous, the most infamous, Auschwitz, which is Oświęcim in Polish. Not far, there was also Treblinka and other concentration camps. At the drama, I saw from the Dworzec Gdański, from the Danziger Bahnhof, from that why, when they were from that railway station, Gdańsk, they were going through that, so in deporting. So it's a tragedy of the Holocaust, a tragedy for the Jewish people. They didn't have in the history of their people such a tragic experience like that Holocaust. The Jews were persecuted from the Romans' time and before. As you know, they were also in slavery in Egypt, you follow me, 1,500 years before Christ, you follow me? They were in that, you see. So that's unfortunate. So, but we continue our underground activities, okay, trying to damage the German progress with the war, you know. That was from the back, if you could call it stabbing from the back.
Mm-hmm.
Some explosions on the railway tracks when the Germans were moving their equipment to the east, or whatever movements, east to west, that kind of activity. And many others, bad activities, including assassinations and other things, follow me. They were carried out by the underground army, by the, in Polish language, Armia Krajowa, which is the Polish Home Army, underground army. Polska Walcząca, that means the fighting Poland. Poland fights. Mm-hmm. That's Polska Walcząca. So the spirit of liberation, to achieve that liberation, that came on the 1st of August 1944, when the Warsaw Uprising started. And I was part of that in the group of soldiers under the commander, and I belong to that battalion, so the group, you follow me, of Major Sosna. He was the underground leader, and I belonged to that part, you see. We were divided in different cells and groups and army units, etc. You see. So it was a continuous fight, daily fight, on the barricades, facing the Germans, across the streets, throwing grenades from one side of the street to another, you get. Mm-hmm. Or you have, in the same building, you had Germans on one side of the big building and our revolutionary army, uprising army, you see, against, in the same building. So it's quite a tricky and unpleasant situation. You saw that you were across the wall, with the enemies, and vice versa. There were tragic things. Over the 9 weeks of fights, about 200,000 people lost their lives in Warsaw at that time. After just about 9 weeks of fights, on the 2nd of October 1944, we had to capitulate. There was no other way, because there was no food anymore. All cats and dogs were consumed. Myself, I had also a piece of meat, dog meat, you follow me, barbecued a little bit, because you can have a fire, and so that's the experience, you see. So there was not, the water was polluted, we were exhausted, many of us wounded, including myself, and we were deported to the prisoners of war camps according to Geneva Convention. That's how it happened. The soldiers and separated from the officers, myself being a lieutenant in that underground, in the Polish, so I got to the camp for officers with other 600 or so officers from the uprising to that camp. It was in Murnau, in that camp, the southern part of Bavaria, very close to the Alps, Garmisch-Partenkirchen, yes. As well, a famous Oberammergau Passions. You see, they are famous Oberammergau Passions. Well, not too far from Swiss border, Austrian, in a very beautiful, picturesque corner of Germany, southern Bavaria, very at the foot hills of the Alps. Beautiful. The sunrise, you see, shining. I still have the picture today. Looking through the barbed wires, fences around on the Alps, you see, on one side. It is very picturesque, very colorful, reflections on snow and ice, because it was during the winter. We were there I was there the whole month of November until end of April, when we were liberated. That means 6 months of the camps. In Murnau, in the camp for prisoners of war for officers. In German, the camp was called Offizierlager. 7a, that means the camp for prisoners of war, number 7a, Murnau. We were there about 6,000 of officers in that camp, a big camp. And the German commander was a general of the camp, and naturally many watchmen, many soldiers, German soldiers, sergeants and other officers there, managing the camp, supervising the camp. But we were free. We didn't have to work at all. We could spend our own time gossiping. And naturally there were no women there, only men. So there must be some occupation. I was young, energetic and healthy. So interesting a few things, you see. So I said, fine, that's great. An opportunity even to learn English. Yes. There was an American Navy, merchant Navy captain of Polish background. So he spoke a little bit Polish. He was a chain smoker. And cigarettes were valuable things in the camp. I never smoked. So, to me, it was lucky. Receiving from a small parcel from the Red Cross once a month with a few packs of cigarettes, some biscuits, a little bit of Nescafe, and maybe toothpaste and other few things, you see. So this was a very valuable thing. The most valuable on a market, on a black market in a camp, were the cigarettes. Right. Yes, for smokers, it was absolutely a golden thing to have it as smoke.
Hello, this is Roger Hodgson, and you're listening to Republic of Avalon Radio.
When I was young, it seemed that life was so wonderful. A miracle, oh, it was beautiful, magical. And all the birds in the trees, well, they be singing so happily, oh, joyfully.
So, I made a deal with that captain that he is going to start English language lessons with me, and he will receive cigarette for that. So it was an interesting exchange. He was telling to me, "How are you?" I repeat after me, "And how are you?" And nice, nice. Sun. Oh, sunshine. Yes, sunshine. Sir, how are you? I was repeating and making notes on scraps of paper. Okay? Phonetically and things like that. And learning just like a child is learning from mother, repeating. That's how I started to learn the English language for the cigarettes supplied by Red Cross for prisoners of war. These were, I remember, all kinds of different brands. I became an expert knowing the cigarette brands. Camel, I remember. Chesterfields, Morris, Lucky Strikes, and Players, and all kinds of these, several different brands. But I never touched a cigarette there. No. Half of the cigarettes went into the English language lessons. So he was giving me the lesson. After the lesson, I give him a cigarette. Okay, so with so many lessons per month, I had so many. Okay, a session, let's say, get together for half an hour or so. It was nice. Another package of cigarettes I exchanged on a black market for a loaf of bread. German Kommissbrot, dark German loaves of bread. Yes. The Germans were getting the bread to siphon the good cigarettes out of the prisoners of war.
Okay.
That was the exchange on a black market. It was a kind of a, they tolerate that because they needed the good cigarettes for the commands, for officers, etc. Not quite cigars, but cigarettes are very good. So that's how it was. So I had a better nourishment from one pack of cigarettes and another, the English language, because I realized that the future is in the world with English language. And that I will be not returning to Poland because the Russians were there, okay? And they were very aggressively treating badly the underground Polish soldiers and officers. Okay, so we knew about that. So the Western world was English language. So not German. The German, I hated the German language so much. You see, listening to the Nazis and all this, to the Gestapo, to the SS, and so that was a terrible experience. So anyway, the life in the prisoners of war, Murnau, the Offizierlager 7a, okay. The officers' camp for officers number 7A was an interesting experience for me because there were many activities. There were scientists lecturing on, for example, on rocketry. At that time already, you follow me, on atomic bombs, you follow me, on atomic things were lecturing. So new things, new sciences. Astronomers up there, you follow me, there were lectures in astronomy. Okay. But there were also all kinds of fiction activities, you follow me. And one of the fiction activities was the organization, a corporation for movie productions. What a fiction was that? Okay. Well, you would like to become a sponsor or a shareholder of that organization, of that corporation. You sign a piece of paper. I, Thaddeus Dreher, I am committing myself to purchase so many shares for so many zlotys on a piece of paper. You put this to the secretary of the corporation and he registered you. So we had a fiction meetings. What kind of a movie we are going to have it? Okay. well, the war is provided a great deal of material. The destruction, the terrible experiences, you follow me? So this was a terrific, really. So that it was a discussion. I was laughing a little bit of that idea because it's going to be in a fiction. All this here, the directors are sitting and talking about something great, you follow me? My imagination started to sort of, stretching a little bit. And so finally I was laughing and talking at the board meetings of that corporation. Said, well, perhaps Thaddeus, you could be perhaps a director of public relations in that corporation. I said, great. I will be the director of public relations. So I figured it out myself. The director of public relations must be promoting the actors, you follow me? The movies must be promoting maybe the actresses, you follow me? The beautiful around. So I figured it out that I will be on one side with one actress and on the other side, and I will be in the center, you follow me, promoting as a great director of public relations for the very corporation, not in existence, but in imagination. Okay, that's funny.
I wonder if any of these imaginary movies actually came into fruition after.
Of course.
Anybody?
What they were doing, you follow me, to my knowledge, only some of the people returned to Poland from that camp. One of them was Leon Schiller, and he was, after the war in Poland, he was, I think, a president of Academy for acting and movie making or film making, things like that. Leon Schiller. In the city of Lodz, he was there in a camp. Okay, I was talking to Leon Schiller, a known personality in the theater, you follow me, a kind of a very professional director, you see. So that's highly, oh yes, they were absolutely outstanding people there, brainy people, professors with great accomplishments, you follow me, writers up there, you know, that I knew from before the war, only from the books, you follow me, that they were there. This was one of them that was there, and he returned to Poland, and he established, I think, an academy for theater, for drama, and for movie making, you see, film making, you see. So that's sort of a artistic pursuits, you see. Yes, very, very talented. They were composers, of music composer. And after the war, when I visited and in the camp, in 1977, when I was in Poland, I met that fellow composer that who was with, his name is Andrzej Markowski. He was a director of Philharmonic Orchestra in Warsaw after the war, you know, later. When I was there in 1977 with my wife and my son, so he came to the hotel, you know, and I spent with him the year, the 6-7 months in the prisoners of war together. So that was, and we were sleeping in the not quite on the same bench, but head to head. You see, very interesting experience. You reflect, you see, and you think how lucky you are. You think how fortunate you are. Okay? You almost can't believe it that happened to you. You follow me when you reflect this. That you went through all this, that myself. Really? Is this the fact? Was it a fiction? You know, after that you think that this was an illusion. No, this was a reality, a drama, big drama. that you are still mentally okay, that you didn't lose of that. It's amazing thing, you follow me? Now, you can find even from that perspective of so many years back, in the drama of war, you can find even some humor. You follow me to that? Even some comedy, you know. Situations, we say, tragic comedy, in the same time, tragedy and comedy. What a present. So I think I'm very blessed with that I survive mentally and physically and reached the age of 88, you follow me? That's a blessing. So I realized this, that I can be productive now and do something in the communities. So I am believing and working for multiculturalism. That's a commitment that I made many years back. And my wife is helping me in that commitment. If I didn't have a wife, that I got married in Thailand, you follow me? I'm a Roman Catholic, but I married a Buddhist. And we had a Buddhist wedding in Thailand. That sort of an interaction of two religions, of two cultures. And then there is also the big gap in the age, because my wife is much more younger, 26 years younger than myself, you follow me? So that is also a big gap, you follow me? So, but all this is adding to a new perspective on life.
So I guess as there were a lot of other things that I wanted to talk about, but maybe we won't have time today. But I did want to ask you why you came to Newfoundland. I mean, after, it must have been, I know you ended up on a coffee plantation down south somewhere, and then you came here after
I almost ended up, which I had a proposition for Brazil to be administrator of a coffee plantation that they were, but I refused that. Never went there because of dangers. The one condition is that I had to be armored all the time. And I didn't want to think about having an armor with me, a gun or a short gun, no. That was too much. Maybe in Brazil there were also wild animals, but also bandits. No, that scared me totally. So, you had to be really committed to the engineering, which I like it. The construction, you see immediately, day by day, new challenges and progress. You follow me? Construction gives you a kind of immediate results of some activity, or you say, that's progress. That's something very positive. That really exciting, to see how. So I came to Newfoundland here in connection with the Trans-Canada Highway construction. Yes, I was on the West Coast as a resident engineer on the West Coast during the construction of highway. For 4 years. After I got married in Thailand. So then we just came to Newfoundland. There was a pressure and a challenge to build the highway as fast as possible. The federal government provided the funds. So it was an interesting time. on the west coast, and a beautiful, okay, west coast of Newfoundland is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you have a national park now. At that time, there wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Grossmont, Humber Valley, you follow me, and all this Deer Lake, all Pasadena, and all to Stephenville. That's a nice section of island, a different character.
Yes.
East of island is Avalon Peninsula is different altogether than the west of Newfoundland. So that's how I came, and we like it. What is the interesting part? My wife adjusted beautifully to this part of the world, from a tropical country with a different culture altogether. And my wife learned how to bake bread Newfoundland style on the west coast up there. You follow me around Cornerbrook. The homemade bread Newfoundland baked, very tasty.
Yeah.
And my wife is make that bread, and she knows how to make that good Newfoundland domestic bread. Follow me, the kind of a village Newfoundland bread, outboard bread, delicious. Okay, she learned that, and she learned few other things. You see, how to make fish and brewis and few other. Yes, interesting. So we have a very interesting cuisine here, Oriental cuisine. Mixed Indian, Thai cuisine as well. Polish, because my wife learned from my sister in Montreal how to cook Polish and things like that. And during our visits to Poland also, she learned how to do it, okay? So how to cook some Polish dishes. So, and kitchen is very important. It is. It's adding to the spice of life, you follow me. It's one of the great experiences in culinary affairs and the cuisine, the art of cuisine, and few other. Okay, so that's what we are talking here, coming from war to the kitchen. We actually are sitting very close to the kitchen. You follow me? In a breakfast corner. This is the corner where we have a breakfast. As well, I have a office. I have a downstairs also a place to do some work. But here, I think the attraction of a kitchen is too much to resist. You follow me?
It's like a warmth, isn't it?
It's warm thing, and it's very handy. You follow me? And I can do some writing, I can do some thinking here. I have the volumes of work here around, and some books and things like that surrounded. So with, as you see here, piles of newspapers. You see Globe and Mail and Telegram and all this. So that is, and a television to have a fast news and all this, okay, to do some VCR, to record few things and all the kind of practical arrangements.
I noticed when I came into your home that the first thing that struck me was how big and how grand it is. And I don't mean grand in the sense that we normally say, but it's just a big house. And also how quiet it was.
We are surrounded by trees. The trees are absorbing the noise of the street.
Oh, okay.
On the back of my property, I have a 1 acre of a park. You see?
Oh, yeah.
So that is adding great buffer zone. You look through this, and here trees. You see all this.
That's why.
That's why it's that big old trees around.
Yeah.
Big attraction. Front trees, surrounded by trees, and living downtown. Is this not downtown?
It is, yeah.
This is downtown.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is
in the neighborhood of the, the colonial building and the government house. You follow me? There's a neighborhood across the park. Just in that neighborhood, which is there is a traffic, but inside you don't know that you are downtown.
Yeah.
It's a different.
It's very different.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
Because the trees.
That makes sense.
And the trees attracted me to this property.
Okay.
Because in Poland, well, around the farm where I grew, we had lots of trees, but also lots of fruit trees. Apples, pears, you follow me, this type of fruits, we had plums, many trees. And other trees also like maple leaf and fir trees, you follow me, the big trees around, you see. And we had a little bit of a also small forest. Part of that property was a small forest also too.
Okay.
So to me, this was a kind of a great attraction.
Yeah.
My wife was a little bit afraid. We said, that's such a big house here, etc. But anyway, we get used to that, and I appreciate historic things. And something that has a meaning, because history, it gives you the foundation to think about the future. You can't neglect history. If you want to know something about the future, you have to be good at history. Okay? Because usually history, it repeats itself.
Republic of Avalon Radio.
The best radio in the whole wide world.
You're with the Rover.
I just have one more thing, very, very short.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know very briefly, if it's okay with you, just a little bit about the council, the Multicultural Council. And I guess, it's sort of become a community, I guess, of people from other places.
Well, it's very much important. When you have a diversity, people of different cultural backgrounds, nationalities, together. And in that sense, Newfoundland is changing. There were before only Scottish people, Irish people. That's mainly the two. Naturally, there were natives also here. But they were isolated. Not really part of the community. They had their own reserves, their own. They lived side by side, but there was not much of interaction. With the diversity of this day and age is a different story. Newfoundland, since after the Second World War started, particularly since the 60s, with the university, there had to be professors and scientists and staff have to be hired from other parts of the world, because there was nothing locally here in that sense. You follow me? So that was the impact, the big impact. And today, you see the diversity is quite prominent on the Avalon Peninsula. So, the multiculturalism became a sort of a known since 1971 as an initiative by the Trudeau government. And it's moving slowly because multiculturalism cannot be pushed fast. It's a natural development. People can be instructed, educated, but one thing is a book education, another thing is in life, in the society. They are two different things. And in Newfoundland, there is one thing very interesting with respect to local community and the newcomers from diverse backgrounds that Newfoundlanders are very curious, and that's important. Curiosity is the spice, you follow me, for learning. And this way, the Newfoundlanders will say immediately, "Where are you from?" Okay, well, how do you like it here? You see how that, you know? And they come sort of closer together, you follow me? That is the bridging is much easier in Newfoundland than maybe in other parts of Canada. So that is one characteristic. So therefore, multiculturalism is growing nicely, without wrinkles, you follow me, without any unpleasant experiences.
Right.
That's the friend. On top of that, Newfoundlanders are hospitable people. Come in, have a cup of tea and a biscuit or a cookie.
Yeah.
You follow me? The doors are open. So that's the spirit, you follow me, of people finding a belonging much easier. They adjust. The unfortunate thing is that the opportunities for immigrants or for refugees are not here, not as big as in other parts of Canada.
Right.
As you know, Newfoundlanders, they have to leave this province to find a job somewhere else by thousands and thousands on annual basis. So the newcomers here, well, they have a more difficult time to find a job, you follow me, so even more than the local people themselves. So they have to leave. But they are very happy here. Yesterday we were in Placentia to say goodbye and on a farewell party for Libyans living Placentia. After 9 months there, they came to the College of the North Atlantic. So they came from the oil industries to learn to be trained as technicians in the equipment operation and other things. Okay, so they finished this, and there was a party organized, and they were expressing regrets that they are leaving. You follow me? However, they have jobs there, but they came with their families, with wives, with children. Some of them a family with 4 children, and the children were learning English during 9 months and very proficient. After 9 months, the children were very well, you follow me. We experienced that, we observed this. So you see, the characteristics of Newfoundlanders, you follow me, they come quite nicely into play with the newcomers, you follow me, because of the curiosity, because of the hospitality, of the natural hospitality, the natural curiosity. That sort of a linkage, the bridging is much easier.
a Root Cellar production.